And I can't imagine how it feels to belong to that group, like that small minority group, and seeing hate compiling and growing towards you, even though all you want to do is be happy. But the people on the other side of the fence wants bad things for you. And the only thing you want to be is be able to be who you are and happy. And people want you dead. At least 5 killed in shooting in an LGBTQ club in Colorado. Once more, a mass shooting in the United States. And I'm actually like really devastated. Like every time I read a mass shooting, I just think to myself that this could be prevented by just doing the right thing. And the right thing is to, well, ban all guns in the United States. That's the first step that needs to be taken. But let's check the coverage of Denver 7, the Denver channel.
Breaking news right now on Denver 7. A Saturday night out turned tragic in Colorado Springs. At least 5 people are now dead. 18 people are now hurt after a shooting at an LGBTQ nightclub. It's called a safe haven for those in the community. That took place overnight. And now that sense of safety is gone. I'm Jessica Crawford.
And I'm Katie LaSalle. Thank you for being with us. This story has been developing all morning. We do know police have the shooter in custody and that there is no active threat to the public right now.
We do have team coverage for you now. Our Colette Bordelon is at the Colorado Springs Police Operations Center, and our Brandon Richard is outside Club Q right now. We're going to get started with Colette, who was at the press conference that wrapped up just about 30 minutes ago. What can you tell us about the suspect?
A lot of details were released about the suspect, but before we even get to that 22-year-old man, I really want to focus on what Club Q means to this community.
Imagine being 22 and so full of hate that you decide to take the lives of 5 people and injure tens of people. Imagine being 22 years old and so filled with so much hate, and of course, like getting access to firearm, weapons, guns. That's a recipe for disaster, and it just happened to happen this time.
I've done several stories with them in years past during the pandemic. They were also a shining light to bring more LGBTQ focused groups here, to open up locations here in this city. So this happening there is absolutely tragic. You could feel that heaviness in the room as we were addressed by the police chief, the 4th Judicial District District Attorney Michael Allen. We also heard from the fire department as well as a couple of other people with the police department. But the suspect's name is Anderson Lee Aldrich. He's 22. Police say that he used a long rifle in this crime. They couldn't tell us if it was a high capacity magazine necessarily at this point in the investigation. What they could tell us—
a long rifle could basically mean anything. So that's pretty vague. They know what kind of a gun it is. I don't know why they're not telling us. Long rifle, it could basically be a hunting rifle. It could be like an AR-15. I don't know if that's considered to be a long rifle, but in my eyes. And what's the other firearm? Motive under investigation, yeah. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get some more details as the time goes by, but you don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure out there's something to do with the specific group that was targeted.
Though was a little bit more of a timeline. So that initial call for service, that was at 11:56 last night. The first officer dispatched a minute later. They arrived on the scene at 12. The suspect was detained by 12:02. So all of that happened in a time span of just over 5 minutes. Of course, this is still something that has shaken this community to its core. We did not get any identities of the victims in this case. We know 5 have been pronounced dead. The victims' families will, of course, first be identified before they are releasing any of those names at this point. And whether or not this was all part of a hate crime, that's under investigation.
This club is not a problem. It is a safe haven for members of our community. So we are all shocked and saddened that this occurred here this last night.
Now, police could not give us a date of birth of the suspect at this time, but if you look up his name, you'll find past news stories from last summer regarding a bomb threat in Lorson Ranch. So that's in southern El Paso County, tied to a person with the same name. Whether or not that's the same person, police wouldn't say at this point in the investigation. Like I said, his full name, Anderson Lee Aldrich. We also know that apparently when he entered Club Q, 2 people confronted him. Police really did speak about how those 2 people likely saved more lives with their actions. They did also say they know that those 2 people, they believe, were not injured. So hopefully those 2 did survive.
Okay, I have to say that it's good to know the name of the perpetrator, but I have to say giving the name is also a little bit like glorifying. The same thing like with every mass shooting, giving a name and a face actually creates this monument for others who are thinking of doing the same thing, because you get recognition, you get fame. So I'm not too fond of like giving too many specific things about the shooter, because that's basically what he wants to do.
Colette, thank you for that perspective on also what the club meant to people in that area. Then that comes from your many years of working in Colorado Springs. Thank you for being here. Let's get out to Brandon Richard, who's at the scene of the shooting. He's been there all morning. Brandon, you spoke with someone who says that they were at Club Q last night.
Yeah, that's right, Jessica. We just got through speaking with Joshua Thurman. He says that he is a go-go dancer, but he was at this club last night, just enjoying the night with some friends when this shooting happened. I'll step out of the way because you can see he's actually still here on the scene there. He is the gentleman in the brown hoodie there. He said that he came here to see if he could get his car. Of course, everyone who was at the club last night when this happened, their cars are still here in the parking lot, the Club Q parking lot. Now, Club Q, as we said, this is an LGBT nightclub. It's located in the center of this shopping center here. It's a little difficult for us to see the front of Club Q itself because we do have just scores of victims, many folks who, including...
And here to just enjoy ourselves, and this happens. It was so scary. I heard shots, broken glass, bodies.
Just a horrific experience. Joshua
I
had
can't
to
imagine
pause several
how
times
that guy
just
feels.
to collect himself.
Like
you can
to
just
be in a
imagine
nightclub
how
like that and
horrific it must have been to
shit goes
go
down
through
like that.
something like that. You're at a club, you're enjoying the night with your friends, you hear gunshots. He says that he didn't know those were gunshots at first. He assumed it was just the music, and then it became clear moments later that this was in fact shooting. That's when he and his friends took cover, of course, and police arrived just a few minutes later. Governor
House Speaker Pelosi says Colorado shooting shattered a sense of safety of LGBTQ Americans, and this is not the first time the LGBTQ community is being targeted. If this is a targeted attack towards that community, so this is not the first time they are targeted, and that's kind of sad. But that's not surprising considering how hateful Americans are towards like minorities and each other. Biden on Colorado Springs mass shooting. Jill and I are praying for the families. Praying really doesn't do anything, to be honest. Oh, this is... I actually have this, like... So, Lauren Boebert. The news of Colorado Springs is absolutely awful. This person shouldn't read anything. This morning, the victim of their families are in my prayers. The lawless violence needs to end quickly. Because Representative Lauren Boebert has been spreading a lot of LGBTQ hate. Sending a message to all the drag queens out there. Stay away from the children in Colorado 3rd District. Take our children to church, not to drag bars. Okay, groomers. Boebert sit down with right-wing activists who supported death penalty for gay people. If she honestly like believed Like, if she honestly was pro-life, and if she honestly believed that the lawless violence needs to end quickly, well, the best way to end mass shooting is to take away the guns. And if you don't accept that fact, it's not an opinion, it's a fact, that the best way to prevent mass shootings is taking away guns. Because, well, where there are as many guns, there are less mass shootings. That's a statistic fact. And I don't think like this sort of culture is that healthy either, like giving guns to your children. That's the sort of culture that actually nourishes people towards doing these sorts of acts more easily if they are like pushed against, and if they have like struggles in their lives, because they have such easy access to guns. They notice that you get notoriety when you do things like this. And it doesn't help that like politicians like Lauren Boebert or this fucking asshat named Marjorie Taylor Greene, who tweeted, tragically 300 Americans die of fentanyl poisoning every day in America, and Biden says and does nothing. Tragically, 5 people were killed in a shooting in Colorado, and Biden immediately demands a ban on assault weapons. The solution are this: secure the borders and stop the drugs, defend our right to keep our bear arms so that people can defend themselves from killers who could care less about laws. It's people like this that America will never change. Because that's the truth. Like, strict gun laws, just like in Europe, prevent mass shootings. That's a fact. That's not even an opinion. But Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is such a fucking hateful person that she just hates change. She's a MAGA person. She's anti-Ukraine. Like she's so fucking deep in Trump's ass. It's incredible. AOC, Lauren Boebert, you have played a major role in elevating anti-LGBT. That is true. Hate rhetoric and anti-trans lies while spreading your time in Congress, blocking even the most common sense gun safety laws. You don't get to thoughts and prayers your way out of this. Look inward and change. That is exactly what I said. Yeah, like, how the fuck do like Americans think this is safe when everybody's going around with guns? Like, I'm really fucking happy to live in a country where I don't need to be afraid to send my child to school and like being afraid that they might die there. Like, today is the day that their school is going to have the mass shooting. Like, it's happening almost every fucking week. Like, I'm happy that our country doesn't need to think that we need to arm our teachers. We need to have bulletproof blankets and vests in the classrooms to have like safety measures against guns in schools. But apparently the right, like Lauren Boebert or the fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene, doesn't think that. They don't think about their children. They aren't actually pro-life. They are fucking idiots. And people who follow them are as idiots as they are. Because, well, even more so, because probably Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene and like the majority of the Republican Party, again, I have to say this disclaimer: Democrats are fucking idiots, but Republican Party is basically lobbied and sponsored by the NRA. So these politicians who are in for gun, like pro gun, they are getting paid to say that. They are getting paid to promote guns. You are just following them because you're an idiot. They are idiots, but at least they are getting paid to be idiots. You're the fucking most moronic idiot there is, because you're doing that for free. And you're thinking you're on the good side. I don't like Hillary Clinton, but come on. I'm heartbroken for everyone grieving in Colorado Springs today. I'm horrified and unacceptable to see hate against LGBTQ people fester in our communities. We must all call it out when we see it. Yeah, like, I've been shitting on Hillary Clinton for years. But this is probably one of her first good takes. And I have to give credit where credit is due. Like, Hillary Clinton is a piece of shit, but this take is actually like a W. 5 people were just killed in 18 injured and gun massacre at a gay nightclub in Colorado Springs. You right-wing nut jobs should stop spreading anti-gay conspiracy theories and demonizing the entire LGBT. Well, yeah, like, for example, Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh is doing nothing but spreading anti-LGBTQ and anti-trans rhetoric. So is Tucker Carlson. So is a lot of those right-wing content creators, like political commentators. Like there is no defense on everybody being able to have guns. Like every time you try to like have a conversation with a person who's like really pro-gun, and they are like, well, show me some like facts or statistics where there's a place where strict gun laws work. Then you show a map and you point out the whole of Europe. And then they're like, oh, what about knife crime? They just shift the fucking conversation subject to a different one because they know they lost. And United States has still more gun. Like United States isn't free of knife crime. And of course, I'm not an idiot. Like there are European countries where knife crime is really like a pandemic. For example, Scotland. The knife crime in Scotland is like rampant. That is true. But I would take knife crime every day of the week instead of gun violence every day of the week. If that nightclub was, if the perpetrator was using a knife, there would be way more people alive. There would be many less people uninjured if that person was using a knife instead of a gun. It's more easy to stop a person with a knife than a person with a gun. It's way easier to run away from a knife than a gun. The news out of Colorado Springs this morning is devastating. The potentially hate-fueled violence is an outgrowth of divisive rhetoric in this country. That is true. But we have to talk about the elephant in the room, and the elephant in the room is like the culture in the United States of America is a hateful culture. So there's some argument that taking away the guns wouldn't solve a thing because it wouldn't take away the hate an American has for their fellow Americans. Like Americans hate Americans. They are fearful of each other. They are hateful of each other, which is completely the opposite of Europeans. Like in Finland, we don't like our neighbors. We don't want to talk with our neighbors, but we don't hate them and we don't fear them. That's a big difference. I don't need to fear for my life for people who live around me. I don't hate people who live around me. That's the biggest cultural difference between the United States of America and basically almost the rest of the civilized world, especially in Europe. Like, if we compare the USA with Europe, that's the biggest difference. Americans hate and fear each other. Europeans don't necessarily like each other, but they don't fear and hate each other. And because we don't have that fear and hate, we don't need to stockpile on weapons to defend ourselves against that invisible, imaginary foe. This is so fucking sad because this is so easily preventable. Hours after a mass shooting in Colorado and at a LGBTQ bar, Chaya Raichik decided to double down and go after a Colorado orc that does drag. This is exactly what she wants, some mass violence against LGBTQ people. She is a terrorist. Yeah, like clips of TikTok, they are as responsible as Matt Walsh is basically. Their main TikTok is all about like hating minority groups. They think that they are really fucking edgy and funny, but they are just spreading hate. These people like clips of TikTok, Matt Walsh, Tucker Carlson, Christopher Rufo have spent all years stoking and inciting violence against LGBTQ people. When the violence happens, they deny it, minimize it, and double down on the hate. They are sick, twisted sociopaths. Yeah, like, they are fucking cowards. As Matt Walsh's interview with Joe Rogan showed that he is a fucking coward. Joe Rogan basically backed Matt Walsh next to a corner, like there was no escape. But Matt Walsh still didn't admit that he's a homophobe, even though everything he said in that interview about marriage was basically that he didn't like men and men getting married. And that's the same thing with every fucking one. Like Andrew Tate, for example. Woman-hating, misogynistic piece of shit doesn't have the balls to admit that that he hates women and he is a misogynistic asshole. Matt Walsh doesn't have the balls to admit that he just hates trans people and hate the whole LGBTQ community because he's an insecure little man. Jaya Rajik, owner of Lips of TikTok, is easily responsible for dozens, if not hundreds, of LGBTQ deaths at this point, and Elon Musk just a week ago left them a positive reply. Yeah, because Elon Musk like tries to be young. He's like trying to be that old guy that wants to be really fucking hip. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Matt Walsh probably even cried of like joy that this happened. I'm pretty sure Matt Walsh was really fucking happy that this happened, which is kind of sad that he has so many fucking fans, young fans. Like, this rhetoric against gay people, this rhetoric against trans people and LGBTQ community in general, it's spreading all around the world. And I can't imagine how it feels to belong to that group, like that small minority group, and seeing hate compiling and growing towards you, even though all you want to do is be happy. But the people on the other side of the fence wants bad things for you. And the only thing you want to be is be able to be who you are and happy. And people want you dead. Like, how fucking heartless do you need to be to think like that? God fucking damn it, this makes me so fucking angry. God fucking damn it.